This is episode 3 of the reSELLer files, and I have Dom, the primetime treasure hunter, here with me. We're going to talk about some motivation tonight. Dom, I'm going to let you introduce yourself.
Yes, hi everyone. It's Dominic, the Primetime Treasure Hunter. I am primarily someone who sells on eBay. I do some local marketplace sales as well. I work full time in a separate job that has absolutely nothing to do with reselling. I work as a board certified neuropsychologist during the day, and I do my reselling when I come home at night and on the weekends and on the occasional day off, and working that around family time and other things as well. So I definitely have to be motivated to get all this stuff done, or it's just not getting done. So
You have an incredible work-life balance, which I'm hoping we can talk about a little bit of that tonight too.
yeah, absolutely. A lot
I
of
need
that.
to learn better work-life balance.
Yeah, it's tricky. It's tricky to do, but it can be done. It can be done. If I could do it, a lot of other people could do it as well. So hopefully,
Absolutely.
pass on some tips and stuff, and you know.
So about how many hours a week do you work between your two jobs?
A better question probably would be how many hours am I not working? Because I feel like I'm in perpetual motion. But that's actually one of my tips is to actually stay in motion and to try to,
Okay.
avoid getting into periods where you're going into prolonged downtimes. But
Yeah, getting in the funk.
yeah. I mean, don't get me wrong. I think it's important to take time for yourself, and that also helps with motivation because you do need to recharge your batteries. But I pretty much always kind of have something going on. I mean, my regular job, in terms of that one, I'm pretty much at that job. I mean, if you consider, once I have to, wake up in the morning and get ready for it. I mean, that's usually around like 6:45 till that's getting ready, commute time, that kind of stuff. I'm in the office typically by 8, and I normally get out somewhere between 4 and 5. So that's all that job. And then, come home and, take care of some things with the family, play some basketball outside, eat dinner, make dinner, that kind of thing, watch a TV show with my wife or my son or my daughter. And the time that I'm most productive is when they all go to bed,
Mhm.
which would be around 10 p.m. In the summer times. It's a little bit earlier sometimes, depending on what's going on during school year. And I fortunately don't need that much sleep, so I could go from 10 to 2 and get like a good 4 hours in there. But sometimes I get more because if they all decide that they're going to watch, like America's Got Talent for an hour or so, well, then I could kind of, do some listings and kind of still hang out with them, but
Uh-huh.
get stuff done at the same time, kind of make a casual comment about the show here or there. And I'm still, interacting. And weekends too, I'll have a lot more time on the weekends. And I take selective days off from my regular job. I have been there for a while, 14 years. So I have plenty of vacation days, all kind of, ready to take off if I need to. And, I'll strategically take them off for a day to go sourcing on a
That's
Friday.
a great tip.
Yeah, or take days to just do listings. So and if you can combine that with like a long weekend, for example, we have off on Monday for Labor Day. You could combine that with like an extra day off, that you could sandwich next to that. Then you could get a lot done, even if you're working full time.
Well, let me say hello to some people that are in the chat real quick, if I may. Thrift Shop Hustlers here. My little boy Will is popping in the chat, and he needs to go find something else to do. Sylvia Young is here, and Oregon Coast Estate, and Landshark Picker. Louis Grace, Eat Sleep Amazon. Hello, Gina. Hi, how you doing, honey? Let's see, did I get everybody? Carrie Berry's mom.
Hey, what's up, buddy?
I think I got everybody.
And by the way, I'm putting a question in the chat. Let me know how the audio is. This is the first time, Marcy, on your channel, I am debuting my new Blue Yeti microphone right here. So I'm
Ah,
upgrading the audio right here.
nice.
And I hope that it sounds loud and clear for everyone, better than anything else that I've ever used. So let me know in the chat if it sounds better.
Yeah, it sounds great on my end.
Okay, awesome. So yeah. Anyway, to get back to your question, most of the time I'm doing something that is, that's work related. And if I fall asleep early because I'm just exhausted, with
Mhm.
things that happened on a particular day, then typically I'm waking up early. Like I've been up since about 4:30 this morning, just pretty much going, nonstop. But
Mhm.
that's because I fell asleep a little bit early last night. So for me, early is falling asleep like 12:30, something like that. So, if I don't stay up later, then I just wake up earlier and just right ready to just dive into what the next task is.
How do you like even today I was feeling it, that drag where you just have to where you're tired and you just have to push yourself to keep going just to get through the day. How do you manage that?
Um, one of the most important things is to have some type of goal that you're going for towards the
Mhm.
year. That's a challenging goal that
Uh-huh.
may take, up to a year to try to accomplish. I've told a lot of people that one of my main goals this year was to get to $10,000 in 60 days. And that's really challenging. It's not impossible, but it's challenging for me given my schedule and all the stuff that I'm doing. I have been just kind of relentlessly pursuing that. If I have setbacks, I try to figure out what the heck went wrong and to try to adjust to
Mhm.
move forwards. And I have a little checklist that I keep by me, so it's always out.
Mhm.
And I'm always looking at every single day. I have it pasted right up by the door. It's behind me in a lot of my videos.
Yeah, that's a great tip.
And I basically have 4K, 5K, 6K, 7K. In June, I was slipping. I was pretty stable. I was at like 5K to 6K for months, the whole beginning of the year, pretty much. But I couldn't get beyond that. And then I started slipping, and I started going down to 4K in 60 days. And I took some time for myself. It happened to coincide when I went to the trip to Chicago to meet with Pete, Craigslist Hunter, and just had a time to just think about a new plan going forwards, and I did. And I'm happy to say, I'll just show this right now. I'll tilt it if I can. I don't know, I've got this light here, so I don't know how well you can see it, but I'll try to bring it up here. But I am right now at
Oh,
9,434. I am very close, and I want you
yay.
to all pay attention to something very important here. That is done with 158 listings. So this idea that you have to have 900 listings, 1,000 listings to make those kind of numbers. And those are very high
Yeah.
profit margins.
I was
This is
gonna say
not,
those are good quality listings though.
yeah, yeah, they are. So that's what you have to do. You have one of two options really available to you. You could either list like crazy, a lot of items, a lot of generally smaller items, 10, 20, 30, $40 items, or you could decide to lot things together to sell them for a bigger overall price, or get, some items that you could throw in there that are individual items, that are worth a lot more.
Mhm.
So you get, higher sales amounts. But it's a long story short to answer your question, Marcy, is that I have had this goal all year to pursue, and I've had, multiple goals. On social media, it was to hit 5,000 subscribers because I was at 2,000 last year, and we're already at 7,000.
I
So
know, congratulations.
thank you, thank you. But when you accomplish those things, you could check those off your list, and then I can more solely focus into the one or two goals that I haven't quite accomplished yet. So that's what keeps driving me, is to keep trying to accomplish those goals. And if I happen to accomplish them all by the end of the year, then I just motivate myself
Mhm.
by saying, all right, well, how much farther could I actually get beyond that, beyond what I thought I would do? So it's really all about being very goal driven.
Yeah,
And
that's one thing I admire about you, that, you struck me from the beginning that you're very goal driven.
I've always been that way, very goal driven, and also it's very important that your goals are measurable.
Mhm.
You could quantify them in some way. So yeah, that's real important. Again, that helps with the sense of accomplishment, and it also helps you see, if things aren't quite going the way that they need to be. If it's just kind of all nebulous and kind of in the air, and you just don't know exactly how to measure what you're trying to achieve, you're going to start floundering. So you need to have a way to measure those goals.
Yeah, let me just back up just a second. So, one reason why I wanted to talk about motivation tonight, I think, as resellers, we all could use some motivation. I think, just in general, just, being an adult, we need motivation sometimes. But yeah, I was watching your video. Dom just recently did a video on motivation and gave us, 10 really awesome tips. And it was very inspiring. So thank you. So that's why I wanted to talk about it tonight, to kind of expand it. And some people may have already watched the video, but just to reinforce some of those ideas, or if people haven't watched the video yet, to give them some fresh ideas too.
Yeah,
It
yeah,
was a
thanks.
great video.
Yeah, that video turned out to be popular because I know a lot of people do struggle with the whole motivational aspect. I see that as a common theme. And so, since I felt that that was something that's a strength of mine, I try to pass on those tips and, try to, provide any positive influences I can to the reselling community to try to help people out. And it's nice to see when people write, hey, that really pumped me up. That really motivated me. Thanks. Now I'm going to go out and do 10 listings. I love to hear stuff like that. So
Absolutely.
that's exciting.
Yeah, it even just watching it, helped me just get motivated just to finish the rest of my day. And
Yeah,
sometimes that's a big deal.
yeah, yeah. No, I get it. I mean,
And I
don't
finished it strong.
yeah, I know I don't want to create illusions that I'm immune to down periods. I mean, I get them too. So, if I go a few days, let's say, without any sales, that would be something that would, bother me. But that will just actually, while it does kind of bring your motivation down a little bit, it also, at the same time, you got to turn it around kind of in your head. And you have to say, all right, well, now I'm even more driven to turn that around and not let that happen again, and see what I could do to fix it. And it's one of the reasons that I actually have something in my reselling group in which every Monday people post their weekend sales. And so, I try to be very honest with that. And so, if I only have 2 items, or if I only have 1 item that sells, I post that. I don't
Good. So
only just.
then this past weekend, my sales were really bad
I
on
had that.
eBay. So I
I
don't,
Yeah, yeah. I mean,
so good.
I had that.
Sucked for you, but good for me.
Yeah, but see, that's what I mean. Like, I had that a few days, not this past weekend, but 2 weekends ago. If you go back to my group, you'll see that I posted 2 tiny little packages that I sold, and almost everybody else who have posted like 10 sales, 15 sales, 7 sales, things like that. And I just that when I see that, that just kind of motivates me to say, you know what, I want to make sure I turn things around for next weekend. I want to make this a better week, as opposed to just giving up and saying, eBay's dead, or
Right.
blaming external
Blaming,
factors. I just
blaming.
try to take the responsibility onto myself and try to do what I can to fix it, and then it turned it around. And you have to realize that there's just an up and down with business, with every business. It's not just reselling. I
Mhm.
talked about that in the video, that retail stores have specials during the week to get people in, like food stores. That's why they have them. They have these Tuesday
Right.
specials, Wednesday specials, because no one normally comes in there. So they're trying to do things to get people in because they have slow times. And so you have to recognize that you're going to have slow times. And when you have that low period, when things aren't going well, not to get yourself emotionally too low. And even though recently, like this past week has been crazy in a good way, I had 1 item that sold a comic book for $1,250.
Congratulations. Wow.
Thanks,
I
right?
just got goosebumps for you.
That's what I mean. It is crazy. And then yesterday I did a video on having a $700 sale day with 4 items. So that is awesome, and I feel great about it, and it motivates me and pumps me up. But at the same time, I still try to check myself, just like I do when I have that, that point where you could get really low, not to get
Mhm.
myself overly
Too
high
high.
as well, and really try as much as possible to stay even keel, because in the end, it's all kind of going to balance itself out anyway.
Mhm.
I mean, you're trying to grow your business over time, but you just have to realize every day is not going to be like that, and every day is not going to be like this either. And you just gotta.
Yeah, I think that reality check is huge, that you have to check in with yourself about that. Sudden Treasure said in here, "Awesome job. That was my goal last year, and I was shocked to hit it." So I guess she was probably talking about your
And
sales goal.
yeah,
Fantastic. It feels good to accomplish the goals and then make new ones to push yourself even further. That's wonderful, Sudden Treasure.
yep, yep.
Congratulations.
Yeah, it's important to check in, Marcy, I think, on what other people are doing. You have to be careful about it. I talk about this in the video.
Mhm.
A lot of people say don't compare yourself to others. And I agree with that, but in a qualified way, I would say don't compare yourself to others and think negatively about it.
Right.
Compare yourself to others in a sense that there's people out there in the reselling community who should be sort of like role models for you, whether or not they know it or not. You should be trying to grow your business, and there should be someone else out there that you kind of gravitate towards.
Mhm.
You're
I've
not
got them. Yep.
Yeah, you're not necessarily trying to copy them per se. You always want to be your own person, but you may have a goal that is kind of in line with what that person is doing with their
Right.
business, and you want to kind of get towards that.
Yeah.
I'm posting that I'm excited about this $10,000 sales possibly happening in 60 days. Yet the day that I was getting even closer to that, there was someone who posted in my reselling group that she hit $10,000 in 1 month. So, um, I don't know. Will that be the next goal, or who knows? I'm always trying to
It
challenge
is.
myself, but at the
But
same
you're
time,
talking about comparing yourselves, more in a mentoring fashion or mentee fashion. Um, I think
right.
it's good to have people there, that can mentor you, that you're able to either bounce ideas off of, develop your ideas, for your goal setting, and then also just to run things by them in case if you encounter something you haven't encountered before and you don't know, how to manage it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Those
Don't,
are definitely, good qualities to have in somebody that's mentoring you. And
yep.
like you said, sometimes they don't even know that they're doing it for you.
Right. They don't have to know necessarily. But yeah, I mean the reselling community by and large is very good in terms of being supportive for one another. Our Facebook group is a good example of that. It's a very positive, supportive community. I see Laura Cohn in there, who's and Chris Avalos, who are moderators in my group. They help keep it the way it is. Thanks, guys, for all you do. But there's also, I think you have one, Marcy, right? Like someone who's a supportive, accountability partner.
Yeah, yeah, Lou Hustles, yep.
Hey, wait, we got to give a shout out to Lou Hustles because he's not here. Is he going to be watching this on a replay?
I'm hoping so.
All right. Right. Well, what we got to give him on the count of three, right?
What's that?
You know what we have to give Lou on the count of three, right?
Oh, yeah, you ready?
Yeah. All right. Ready?
Oh,
1, 2, 3. Hey!
hell no!
It's hell no. You did a hell no. I did a hell yeah. So we both were. That's right. It actually is. I guess I threw the hell yeah in, but it started with hell no. So that's right. I kind of forgot about that. It's been a while. We love Lou.
We
Uh,
do, we
yeah,
do,
we
yeah.
got to get him back in. We got to suck him back in somehow to
I
social
know,
media.
I've been trying.
Yeah,
I've
I
been
might, I
trying.
might have to message him after this and get on him.
Yeah, do. Do. I'm sure he'd appreciate hearing from
That
you.
might be Lou on the phone right there. I think he's calling. That's Lou on the phone. I know it's Lou. If you don't know Lou Hustle, now he still has his channel up, right?
I don't know if it's still up or not.
Oh God! Don't tell me Lou put his channel away. I gotta check this out right now.
I don't know. I don't know. I've been
Lou,
honestly, I've been too afraid to look, and I've been
Lou,
too
you're
afraid to
killing me,
ask.
man. If that channel is gone, for those of you who don't know Lou Hustles, it's not gonna matter if I can't find his YouTube channel. No, it's still there. It's still there.
Oh, good.
Yeah, there we go. Okay, cool.
I was afraid to look.
Yeah, I'm gonna put it in here right now. By the way, I'm gonna throw Lou in the chat. We're gonna put Lou Hustles. I did an interview with him on my channel, and he's done a lot of shows with Marcy together. So he's an
Oh, he's
awesome
so
guy.
much fun.
Yeah,
He's
great
just so
personality.
much fun.
Yeah, yeah. There we go. Go check him out on YouTube. Anyway, sorry, kind of sidetracked the show there with Lou, but it's worth it.
Hey, it's all good. It is all good. We can talk about Lou if you want, that's fine. But yeah, I mean, it's serious. He's my accountability partner. He knows what my goals are, and, I know what his goals are, and,
So for
we
people who
we
don't know
get each other to the next level.
yeah, for people who don't know how that works, I mean, how do you and Lou work that? Like, is it every day or
No, it's only no,
no?
no,
Okay.
no, it's no.
Right.
Just the other day, I was just sitting here peeling labels, you know how have to peel off those clearance stickers,
Yeah.
and he just crossed my mind, so I just picked up the phone and called him.
That's
"What's going
awesome.
on, Lou? How's business? What are you doing?
That's
What's
great.
going on?" And we ended up being on the phone for, 20 minutes, a half an hour.
Right.
It's just like that, or if I just have a quick question, I'll text him, or if he wants to run something by me, sometimes he'll get my input on something, and yeah.
I'd be
Yeah,
curious.
and the other thing too is he
Go ahead.
gets excited for me when things happen for my business,
Yeah,
that's
right.
another really great thing about having an accountability partner.
Yeah, that is good. If you have someone that can cheer you on at
Excuse
home
me.
and in the community, that's awesome. I mean,
Yeah,
and I'm sure if
sorry,
people,
my son's distracting me.
that's all right. That happens. That happens sometimes. I actually had that last night. I was making a video. Mrs. Primetime walked in right in the middle of it. She distracted me, but I also it gave me like I saw her and I had like a natural smile when I saw her because I started joking to try to get her into the video, but I
Uh-huh.
didn't include it in the video. And then when I was looking later for a screenshot to put in my this is a little inside baseball for people who saw my most recent video that I did today on the $700 sales. I couldn't find a picture that looked good in terms of smiling, so I went to the one where I smiled at Mrs. Primetime, and that's actually what that is from. I just took a screenshot of that and included it in there. So yeah, but I think having a supportive spouse or partner is
My
also
husband's amazing.
yeah. I mean, isn't don't you think that's pretty important for motivation?
Oh my god, that is huge. I think oh yeah, and I've talked to some of my friends that, they're trying to run their own business of, their own kind, whether it's reselling or not, and their spouses are not supportive, and that's a total different world to me because my husband's just amazing. My husband, he knows, John knows what my goals are and he knows what my vision is for my business. And he tries daily to help me get there, whether it's letting me, work on the computer and have quiet time to him, stopping at the grocery store for me. John has pretty much taken over all of the grocery shopping. He's taken over, no, actually, I'll go grocery shopping with him at the Walmart, but he goes and picks up the groceries. I go sourcing.
Right, right,
So he's taken that over. He's taken over cleaning.
right.
He's just been amazing so that I can focus.
Yeah, I
He
mean,
knows how much I want it.
right. I mean, I guess you adjust whatever your situation is. I always think, if I was a single parent, I don't know how I would do it. I mean, I guess I'd find a way somehow, but when my wife is the one who's, doing whatever, activity it is, picking up my daughter up from marching band or taking my son to basketball. Not that I don't do those things as well. I do, but on certain days where let's say I really need to go to a particular estate sale,
Mhm.
she's definitely the person who's going to do the rides that day. And if it wasn't for her, I wouldn't be able to go.
Right.
So the other thing, I've never told anyone this before, but it's true, believe it or not. Every single time I make a sale, no matter what it is, it could be a $9.99 sale or $1,000 item sale. I always send it to Mrs. Primetime, and almost every single time she writes back with a thumbs up or great job or
Aw,
awesome.
that's a great idea.
Every single time. I
So
mean,
she's your accountability partner too.
I guess she is. I got to tell her that. Yeah, and
Yeah.
so she'll give me a fist bump when I say that. But
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
99% of the time, she responds, and it's just cool. I
Mhm.
love, I kind of thrive on positive reinforcement, so that really helps too.
Yeah, I do too.
Yeah, yeah,
That's like crack to me.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. I know on Amazon, in the Seller Central there, they hold your money for however long they need to in case of refunds and, reimbursements, A to
Right.
Z claims, all of that other stuff. So it's sort of like watching your money, accumulate in the Amazon account. So like even today, I took a picture of how much I have accumulated in the account, screenshotted it and sent it
Yeah.
to John, and,
Right.
he gave me the thumbs up back, things like that. And then even and that's another thing that, Lou and I do too, that's really helpful is I do similar stuff with him. Like if I sell something that has a really awesome ROI, screenshot it and, shoot it his way.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, yeah, it's good that we have that situation, but there's not everyone in the chat is, fortunate like us, And we can respond to some things in the chat here or there, like if people are struggling with any motivational issues,
Absolutely.
happy to respond and see if we could, provide any tips or anything like that. I mean, for those who don't have supportive family members, because they are out there. I know of resellers who have reached out and said, my husband doesn't support anything I'm doing. He thinks it's a total waste of time, or my wife hates it and thinks I should get a quote unquote real job. I mean, I hear this stuff all the time. So I think that makes it even doubly
Oh,
important to
yeah.
have people in the reselling community who you could reach out to and join Facebook groups where there's like-minded people, and find some accountability partner or someone in there where you could get your support if you're not getting it at home. Excuse me. You there, Marcy?
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
I was
sorry.
just listening to you.
Oh, sorry.
I was listening to your words of wisdom.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah, if anybody wants to ever reach out to me, I'll cheer you on too. Just hit me up through IG.
Yeah.
I'm always
Yeah,
happy
well,
to
it's
do
it's
that.
good. It's good what you did. Taking the picture of your accomplishments, because that's one of the other things that I say is make sure you remember your successes when things aren't going too well.
Yeah, I have a file on in my photos on my phone. Then it's called. I named it like records or something like that. Like for
Oh,
breaking records.
yeah,
Where I've taken screenshots for myself of
right,
days that I've broken, sales records and things like that.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah, and then those days that things are slow, I'm like, I'm like, oh, and then I can look at those numbers, be like, you did this before, you can do it again.
yeah. I think that's the toughest thing for most people is, when they're having those slow days, because then all the negative thoughts start to creep in. Am I doing this right? Is every day going to be like
Yeah.
this? When's it going to turn around? You're kind of waiting for your phone to cha-ching, and that silence, especially if it goes on for more than 24 hours, could be pretty disheartening.
Right.
You just really have to think back to those prior times where you've been exactly in that same situation and it turned around a couple days later
Hmm.
or a week later and you had an amazing week of sales and stuff like that. So,
Yeah.
you're just trying to reduce those slow days as much as possible and not get too down, because the danger is those slow days could then start steamrolling into even worse days if it starts leading to inertia, or just not doing anything. You just get so down that you
Yeah,
didn't make.
that's one of the challenges about working at home, working by yourself is you could it's a slippery slope. It's a slippery slope. Real quick, Neville asked question: while your money is being held in Amazon's account, who gets the interest, them or you? That's a great question. I don't know if it's an interest, if they hold it interest free or how that works. I know I don't get interest on the money.
Yeah, I'm sure Amazon's grabbing it. You're
That's
not
a
getting
really
it,
great
right?
question.
Yeah,
That's a really great question.
yeah. And someone
So
mentioned,
but it might be what kind of account is that it's it's non-interest bearing,
yeah.
sort of like where you put like a security deposit. I can't remember what kind of
Um,
account that is.
well,
So I don't know.
checking account would be like that. Most
So
checking accounts.
yeah. But anyway, that's a good question. Never thought about it before.
Yeah.
Let's see.
I'm just adding in the
I
chat
don't
for those who aren't looking.
Sarnook's connection. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right.
Yeah.
I apologize if I'm not. Some real stuff here. I'm currently going through a divorce. My wife has moved out since June. My motivation has been tough lately. It's easy to give up. I'm just trying to be happy and work hard. Oh,
Yeah, that's tough. I mean, divorces
yeah.
are tough. There's no way to sugarcoat it. I mean, those tough times are just gonna be there. I mean, it's not really possible to go through it without it. But like you said, Chris is trying to still be happy and work hard, and just focusing on the positive as much as you can. When I'm going through a really tough time, if something is going on personally, the thing I always try to think of is that it could be worse. No matter almost any scenario I could come up with, I could, think of something that would make it worse. And that often helps me kind of get things into a better perspective. And the other thing I think about a lot is that you may not realize it now, but there's been, I mean, we're all old enough to know, you just got to think back to it. There's a lot of times in life when something seems like it's going to be a pretty bad situation, or maybe it was a bad situation, but then down the road, you realize that there was a silver lining or something good that actually came out of that bad thing. It may have taken 6 months for that good thing to happen. It may have taken a year, but eventually something good usually does come out of something bad that happened in your life. So thinking about that is something that has helped me, and that can maybe help some other people as well.
Yeah, those kinds of thoughts have always helped me through tough times too.
Yeah, I mean, it's all the things I'm talking about, or most of the things I'm talking about today, they all really have a common theme in them that I draw from my psychology profession, which I talked about a little bit in the video. But you can look it up if you want to know more about it. It's called cognitive behavioral therapy, or CBT. This is not some kind of quack therapy or something like that. It is the most mainstream and researched form of effective therapy techniques to help people who are going through a tough time. And it doesn't mean you need to see a psychologist for it. There's an excellent book out there called Feeling Good that's out there. It's you could easily just get it on Amazon. It teaches a lot of the techniques, but the whole principle behind it is that your thoughts control your feelings.
You
And
said it's called Feeling Good?
yep, Feeling Good by, I believe the author's name is David Burns. But that's definitely the title. So it teaches you techniques to change your thoughts, which then help to change your feelings. If you think about it, that's why people talk about, do you see the glass, or do you think of the glass as half empty or half full? If you think of the glass as half full, then you're going to feel better if let's say you're thirsty and want to drink. But if you think of it as half empty, then you're going to feel more negatively towards it. So your feelings are directly an output of the way you think about a situation. That's why two people could go through the same exact situation in life. One person walks away with depression or anxiety, and the other person walks away, still mentally healthy from it because of the way they thought about the situation. And one of the things I talk about also in the beginning of the video is that we're kind of accustomed to just thinking negatively. It's kind of natural for humans to think that way. So it requires work to change your thoughts around and modify them so you could think positively. That's why there's books out there on it, because it's challenging and it's not easy to do. It requires work, like I said. And I make this joke that there's no books out there, Marcy, about how to think negatively because it's super easy.
I'm going to see if I can find a link on
Yeah.
that book real quick, if I
Yeah.
may.
Well, I should make that book so that so I'll be the only one in the market who has that book. I don't know if I could drop links in your thing,
I
in your chat, but if you
don't
just
think
go to,
so.
if you yeah, I probably can't. But if you just go to Amazon and seriously just type in "Feeling Good" book, you'll find it. It'll come right up. So I highly recommend it.
Yep, David Burns.
Yeah. See, that's good. See, now every time, Marcy, that I can remember something like that, that's a positive checkbook I put in the column that says I still don't have early onset Alzheimer's disease yet. So, because I'm always guarding against that with my own profession.
Let's see if this link will work. It's a long link.
Let's see if it
I
goes.
don't know.
Yeah, you just put it in there. So there you go. It's in there, everybody. I don't think it's expensive. It's pretty.
Wait, you have to order it through my Amazon store.
There you go. That was not.
Wait, let me get it in stock first.
That was perfect. See? I'm just gonna start throwing out Amazon affiliate links for you tonight. Here we go. Gonna make a lot of money today. So we have someone out there that actually has the book. Mary has it, but she hasn't opened it yet. I'm looking around here because I have my academic books all to the side. I don't think there's one I pull out, but oh yeah. So hold on. So just to show you, like, I don't do counseling or therapy with patients. I do assessment, but during my training, I had to get books like this. So like this is a handbook of cognitive behavioral therapies. The people who pioneered it, their names are Albert Ellis and Aaron Beck. I actually met Albert Ellis once before he passed away when I was a college student, and sat up with him on stage. He's like a famous grandfatherly figure in the whole field of psychology and pioneering these techniques that are used all over the world. So I highly recommend them if you're having a tough time in your life, having a rough time in your life. One of the things they talk about a lot, Marcy, is guarding against what they call negative automatic thoughts. It's just that instant thought you go to, something goes awry, something doesn't quite go your way, and you just think, well, that's it, my whole day's ruined. You know, if you say something like that, you're putting yourself in the mindset that the whole rest of the day will be ruined. Or if you automatically say a negative thing about yourself, this is very common. Let's say you made a mistake when you packed something, and you really, not jokingly around, you're really telling yourself that you're an idiot and you're not good enough, and you're just putting yourself down and thinking negatively about yourself. All those things are just going to drag you down. It doesn't mean you can't be bothered by it, but it's all about limiting it and kind of getting into I don't know how many Bob Ross fans we have here, but trying to get into a Bob Ross frame of mind as much as possible. He makes a mistake when he's painting.
Right.
Does he get mad and
I like that idea, the Bob Ross state of mind.
I talk about, you got to get in a state of mind. You got to get in the Bob Ross state of mind. So
I'm writing that one down.
They're not mistakes, Marcy. They're happy accidents. You got to turn those mistakes into birds.
My husband loves Bob Ross.
Yeah, Chris Cernock just put a great title in there for my new book, How to Effectively Cause Yourself to Think Negatively.
On Amazon, sold in Marcy's store.
Yeah, Laura Cohn knows about the happy clouds. Yeah.
Yes. Weren't they happy little trees, or what were the happy trees?
Happy little birds, happy little clouds. You got to get like that. So,
what about being honest with yourself? That one struck me when I listened to your video.
Being honest with yourself, that's kind of broad. When you say being honest with yourself, what you do mean in terms of like the types of challenges you take on and stuff?
Yeah.
Yeah,
or maybe how you could do things better or differently.
Yeah, especially too if you're doing reselling and you're on social media. Once in a while, you're going to get some critiques as well, or you may have someone critique. If you're in a Facebook group and you add a listing, somebody might tell you something about your listing, and that could be improved. And sometimes people automatically get defensive. Anything that's constructive criticism, and just instantly their instinct is to just shoot back and say it's not true, you're wrong. Now they might be wrong, but at the same time they might also be right, and they might also have a point. And if you are hearing multiple people telling you that same thing, you have to start giving that a little bit more credence and start trying to adjust those things that are off. As a very basic example, Marcy, I mean, this is why I actually have this, okay? Because just having a regular webcam microphone, or even just what I was using last week, just kind of a more standard, run-of-the-mill microphone, wasn't really sufficient enough to give my audience the audio quality that they really wanted. And I would hear that from time to time. People were generally nice, but at the same time, I could have just sat there and said, no, the audio quality is good enough, and I'm not investing any money into into upgrading it. But you got to be honest with yourself, and if you want to grow, and if you're trying to grow a channel, a YouTube channel, you have to develop it and improve it over times, and so you have to constantly keep looking at ways to tweak your business, whatever you're doing, social media or not. So I guess that kind of gets back to what I was talking about earlier. If you notice that things are not going in the right direction, you have those metrics to kind of check in and say, all right, is my business growing or am I sliding? How close am I to, everyone makes these goals at the beginning of the year, and they kind of pursue them for a few weeks and then they forget about them. But you can't, it's one of my biggest things, especially as we're getting closer to the end of the year. People should start thinking now about what those goals are going to be for next year, and setting ones that are
I was
realistic.
just thinking about next year's goals today.
Yeah, yeah. But don't forget about them. Like, keep them out, like I said, so you're constantly chasing after them, and and pursuing them, but also making them realistic, like not making them impossible. Like, I'm not going to set like last year, right? I'm at 2,000 subscribers. I felt that it was probably unrealistic for me to set a goal of 10,000. So I set a goal of 5 because I had grown from 0 to 2, and my first year goal was 1. So, my Facebook group, I was at, I believe, 5,000. I wanted to get to 10. So I wanted to double it. So we did that. We're at 11 now. So I'm just using that as examples of like different, metrics that I give myself that motivate me to pursue it. Because people ask me, right? They say, how do you do a YouTube channel, a Facebook group, a reselling business, and all these other things?
Yep.
I mean, I believe that the reason that
Well, you also run the medical webpage too, don't you?
Yep. I run medfriendly.com and the blog that's associated with that. So, I do all these things, but that's because I have goals and I have, metrics written down that I'm trying to pursue and go after. And that's what just drives me every day, because I know if I'm sitting there and not doing things towards that goal, like, things are going to, slip away, and it's going to be harder to chase. So that's my words of wisdom on that, I guess.
Talk a little bit more about finding your why.
Finding your why was another one of my tips, and that is important. You have to make sure you sometimes sit back and think about, why is it that you're doing this? Because sometimes what happens is you go into something for a specific reason. Like, maybe you say, I want to get into reselling because I want to have extra disposable income, and I want to be able to use that to spend some more time with my family. Like, that's your initial goal of why you went into it. And so you get into it and you start pursuing all these different things, and maybe you start to just get too overwhelmed because you've taken on too many projects, for example. And as a result of that, you now, without even realizing it, after 6 months, 7 months, 8 months, you find yourself so scattered with all these different projects that, yeah, you're making extra money, but you don't even have that extra time that you wanted to spend the time with your family, because now you're in every different direction. So you have to, if that happens, you have to stop, sit back, and then you have to try to readjust and say, wait a minute, why did I get into this to begin with? Why am I pursuing this? Here's why. Am I actually doing that, or has this turned into something else that I didn't even originally intend? So, you have to make sure that you're, always checking back in with that. And
I've done that from time to time myself.
Yeah,
Keep
we
me
all
focused.
we all slip, and it's I like to use all these phrases from inspirational movies and stuff. And I just was recently, a lot of people know, I rewatched the whole Rocky series with my son, and there's this epic scene. If you haven't seen it in a while, just Google the talk that Rocky Balboa does with his son in Rocky 5, when his son is thinking about just kind of giving up and quitting on things. And Rocky has this big talk with him about, it's not how many times you get knocked down, it's about how many times you get back up. And it's such an awesome speech, and it's such an awesome talk. And I draw a lot of analogies between sports and regular life, including reselling, working hard, hustling, not giving up. If you make a mistake, don't put your head down, and just give up. You got to just come right back at it and try to make the next play. So I use a lot of those sports analogies, and I find them very helpful. So if you have a sports background, you could try to draw on that to help you with your business. Because that's the other mindset. I talk about the Bob Ross mindset, Marcy, but I think you also have to have that Rocky Balboa. You have to have the Rocky mindset too. Like you have to have different mindsets for different situations, and it has to be really, Marcy, it has to become part of your personality. Like it has to become part of you, that it just becomes automatic. Like for my kids,
you have to work on it every day, right?
You do, and you need people around you to support you in that. I've like, for example, I've drilled into my kids ever since they were born that we're just not a family that gives up with anything. If when you're hitting adversity, and so like in their head they always just say, because our last name Carone, they always say Carones don't give up, Carones don't quit. Like they just know that.
I love that.
They say that all the time. My son will always say that, like if something happens, and even if like someone might be even hinting about like giving up on something, he'll say, remember, Crows don't quit. So it's just, that shows you it's become ingrained. Like that's part of their personality, and that's what you want. You want to have that. So then when you have adversity, you have that to draw on from within inside of you, and that's what you use to push yourself forwards during those tough times. Because it's kind of like that. Almost, that's like, it kind of serves as like that angel on one shoulder versus the
devil
on the other shoulder who's trying to take you down. Like you need to have that counter.
I'm having a visual of like a Bugs Bunny cartoon, with
Tom,
on your shoulder.
Tom and Jerry did that a lot.
Yeah, Tom and Jerry.
Yeah. Flippin' Hustler in the house. What's up, Flippin' Hustler? He made a good point. He welcomes adversity and speed bumps. They've made me better. And that's true. Here's another thing I would suggest, Marcy. It kind of reminds me. Watch interviews with successful people. I don't care where they're from. Watch an interview with Steve Jobs. Watch an interview with Kobe Bryant. Just watch an interview with any kind of Hall of Fame sports player. You're going to see common threads and tips that go and cut across all of them. And in addition to that, you're also going to find that every single one of them had major setbacks and major failures that they overcome that help make them better, getting to what Todd said there. It's very, very, very true.
Laura said the difference between successful people and the rest of us is that they've failed more often than we've tried.
Right. Yeah. Because, that's another, I kind of have all these little sayings, that I tell my kids and stuff. And one of the things is probably one of my best tips I tell people, because people are always like, well, how do you achieve all these different successes and stuff like that? And I tell people, I'm really not, and I'm not saying this as like fake modesty. I really truly believe I'm not that much smarter than most other people or anything like that. It's really motivation that drives me, and I think that the vast majority of people are satisfied with mediocrity. And so if you are able to put in more effort than the vast majority of people, you will be in that smaller percentage that is the highly successful people. And I've been thinking that way for a large part of my life. In fact, talking about sports, if you actually got my high school yearbook out, you would see that the quote in there is from Isaiah Thomas from the Detroit Pistons. That was my favorite basketball team growing up. He has this quote that he wrote in the locker room that said, it's not a battle of skills, but it's a battle of wills. And I always remember that. And again, it's just something I always draw on. If I'm going to, I'm just going to keep persisting. I'm going to keep pursuing. I'm going to keep moving forwards. I'm just going to be, pretty much relentless until I accomplish what I'm trying to accomplish.
Do you know the term the slate edge? Or have you ever heard of the book The Slate Edge?
The slight edge? No, I haven't.
Mhm. Yeah, it's actually, I think I don't have my copy anymore. I sold it on Amazon. But it's a very good book if anybody wants to look at that book too. Um, and it always talks about just, taking that extra inch of an effort, to move forward just to give you the slight edge. It'll just give you the slight edge over everybody else. Um, he gave an example at the beginning of the book about he saw, he, I guess, excuse me, he went to the airport a lot, he flew a lot, and he happened to always see the same shoe shine lady in the mornings when the airport was still quiet, reading books. And he noticed that she was always reading, just light books like romance novels, just, something like that. Um, Nothing in depth. And he thought to himself, what if she just took that same amount of time and instead of reading romance novels, she would read self-improvement books? Think about how much further she would be ahead in life. It's a very, very good book. That's just one example out of the book.
Yeah, and it's never
But
too late.
it's,
It's
it's
never too.
just,
Sorry.
maybe pushing, sorry to cut you off, maybe just, when you're going, like today I was exhausted and I was outsourcing, but I was close to 2 more stores that are half an hour away from me, and I was already in the area. And I kept telling my because I was so tired, and I just told myself, I'm like, I just come back later on in the week. Just go home, just, rest and, and then, but, I just thought to myself, no, I'm already here. I'm already in the area. Let me just push. So I just went ahead and went to those 2 more stores and got some more inventory.
Yep. Yeah, that's what you got to do. Something. I mean, sometimes you just have to push yourself. You got to be careful that you don't push yourself, past the point where you're getting sick or you're getting unhealthy or anything like that, because that's another danger. That could happen. And if you feel you're getting in that direction, then you need to reevaluate what you're doing and, cut back a little bit. So,
Yeah.
um, and then that could give you some added energy to pursue other projects.
Hmm. Yeah, I think getting rest is key too.
Yeah. So, we could talk about this as content creators, and I know there's other people out here who are watching this, like Todd's in the house, Flippin' Hustler, is a content creator. Chris Avalos, I don't know if Thrift Shop Hustler is still in the house and still watching, but he was here earlier. You could go through these periods where it's, it could be tough to, continuously try to provide, good content for the community and fit it in around your schedule, because it's, it takes time to come up with something that's effective and to put it all together. What someone sees as maybe a 20-minute video could have taken you a few hours to put together. It's possible, depending on what it's about, how much editing you had to do, and that type of stuff. So there's a lot of work that goes on, behind it, and you're not necessarily making a lot of money with it, especially in the
Beginning.
part. So, I have, strategically kind of cut back a little bit. So like in the first year, I think I had maybe like 4 months, 5 months where I literally did a video every day,
Yeah.
including at like 3 or 4 in the morning. It was
Yeah.
insane. But I told myself after a year of that if I continue to go at that pace, I'm not going to be around for a third year of videos. So
How
I
many a
said,
week are you doing now?
um, you know what? I sometimes will do a few days in a row, depending on what's going on, if I could fit it in, if it makes sense. But I had to psychologically tell myself it's okay to just cut it in half and do one once every 2 days or so. So that's pretty much where I'm at right now. And then, you know, if something happens where I could do 2 in a row, like where it just works out and it kind of makes sense, then sure, like that's fine. But I'm also doing other things like going on other people's shows and stuff like that. So instead of doing my own show on my channel tonight, I'm happy to go on other people's channels and
Yay!
do
Show
interviews
me
with
your
them there. So, yeah.
hair.
So that's always fun for me to do. I like doing that. All right. Bye, Laura. Thanks for coming by. Appreciate it. It's always good to see you.
So one of the other tips, maybe we'll make it our last one because we're pushing up on an hour.
Yeah.
Thanks, Laura. Is to cut out distractions and having blocks of time.
Yeah. The distractions people don't realize how much the distractions could actually affect their motivation because they cause you to procrastinate, and procrastination is often an ingredient toward decreased motivation because
It's
you know if
that
you
little devil sitting on your shoulder right here.
yeah, if you have to get listings done and you're distracted by this is one of the worst things for distraction.
Mm,
Your social media is going off, you're getting, you're checking your emails constantly. Maybe you're doing Poshmark, and while that is reselling related, you need to do listings, and you're just sitting there just
yeah,
sharing. Like you've got to set a set time aside to be distraction free, where you're just working on what is the most important thing. And for us as resellers, for the reselling part of what we do, it's the listings. You got to get the listings up. You can't do all those other things like the packing and the shipping and all that stuff unless you list.
just
So,
yeah,
unless you hire that out, but if you're
yeah.
not doing
I
that,
think you noticed I took a huge cutback on my social media this year. That was one of my
remember.
2019 goals. Yeah.
Well, then speaking of Lou, it sounds like he took a break from it too. I think that's almost like a rite of passage for a lot of resellers who do social media, is that they just say, all right, I'm going on sabbatical
Yeah, yeah.
for a couple of months.
You
So,
gotta put it on the back burner, you know?
yeah, but I'm glad to see you got back into it. So,
Yeah, me too. Me too. Me too. But
what
yeah,
changed?
I had to,
What
otherwise
changed to make
I
you
was
get
so
back into it?
distracted. What's that?
What changed to make you say, all right, I'm going to dive back into it?
I think because well, I started Amazon in January
Yeah,
after I got my Poshmark and my eBay settled. I had my 1-year anniversary, so I hit that goal for my reselling in July. Um, but yeah, so my Amazon is now settling out. I don't feel I put a lot of time into it still. But I think I got over a lot of the newbie learning curve. So I'm able to refocus back on some social media.
that's good.
Yeah.
That's good. And there is actually one other tip, but it sounds pretty simple. You hear it all the time with the Nike slogan, but I kind of talked about it earlier when I said keep moving. But
Mhm.
you have to move. You have to just do. You really do. That's the hardest part for most people, is that getting up and starting to do something. But you have to tell yourself, it's a key to remember, once you start it, then it's going to be fine. It's like getting on the treadmill, right? Like once you get actually on the treadmill, you're good. The hard part is getting to it.
I don't know, because then 10 minutes in, I'm like, oh,
But that's the point. At least you put 10 minutes into it. You
okay.
know, and
Look at on the bright side.
once you get on it, that's 10 minutes. You're doing 10 minutes. But the hardest part is actually just getting yourself onto it. That's much harder. So it's the same thing with listing and stuff. Feel like a lot of people dread them, and so they just sit there and maybe watch TV, and then before you know it, it's almost time to go to bed.
Yeah, and then you're like, oh, no, I don't want to do that. I think I'll go outsourcing instead.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So yeah,
And then you have more to list.
and especially if it's something that may be a little bit more involved, maybe it requires, really want to put the item up, but requires some cleaning, requires some prep time, requires 12, maybe it's a 12 photo item. You gotta
Mhm.
get the lighting just right, all that stuff. Staging it, that could, people, think these things in their head, and then they're just like, oh boy, that's gonna take forever. I'm too tired. But you know what? I've done this before, Marcy. I'll just say, all right, you know what? I'll at least just clean it tonight. Or I'll at least take a few pictures of it. I'll get it set, I'll get it ready. So this way tomorrow when I get back, maybe I have it all
That's a
cleaned
good
and I have
idea.
to
Take a little bite out of it
take a
instead of
bite of it and
swallowing the whole elephant. Just take a little bite.
chunk it. I talk about chunking all the
Yeah,
time.
that's a great thing.
So this way, when you have to think ahead to the future. When you get back home tomorrow, let's say you work full time like I do, when you get back the next day, well, guess what? Now you don't have to do the whole thing. You already cleaned it the night before. Maybe you took the pictures, so now you're set to list it. As opposed to coming back the next day and you don't have anything at all done. And that could go on like that for, you know, for weeks potentially. So it's important once you get it started, you're more likely to keep going with it. But that's why I say you've got to start the process of getting things in motion.
Great tips.
Yeah, thanks.
Okay, well, we hit our hour mark. Any last thoughts? I'm happy everybody joined us tonight. I'm excited about this. This is great.
Um, my last thoughts is really and truly, you know, as long as your goals are realistic, set set goals for yourself that are measurable. And if you really stick with it and adjust to things over time, keep yourself, stable. Emotionally, don't get too high, don't get too low. You're going to be able to, accomplish a lot in your reselling business. Just try to use the tips that we talk about tonight. I have a whole separate, video that covers a lot of this stuff we talked about, in a more condensed format. My channel, if anyone's interested in it, you could always go by and check that out if you need a motivational tip. And also, we talked about support. Come by to the Facebook group, the Facebook Reselling Resource Center. It is a super positive place to be, and you will get tons of support there. No trolls. No one's going to attack you for asking a question, even if you're brand new. Just come on by, and we'll help you out.
Great. All right. Have a good night, y'all.
See you, everybody. Thanks for coming by. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Bye.